There we go. Welcome to Teachers Teaching Teachers. We have a wonderful, amazing Dan Woff with us, and Bonnee, Breese, Bentum, and Chris Sloan. You're all PhDs, and I'm not. Anyway,
But let me tell you, you have the intellect of the P, the H, and the D. So we know
I'll,
we're in good company
I'll
with
speak.
you.
So here's where we could.
You're
Here's
welcome.
where we could start. How do you feel about the vocabulary tutor that I set up? Do you want to talk about
I
that?
couldn't even find it yet. I couldn't
Okay.
find it yet.
So can we start? It's sort of starting with the most immediate thing. Is that okay,
Yes.
everyone?
And I'm
We can
glad,
do
I'm
that?
sorry, but we're at something. Can I talk a little bit about how we're
Please go ahead.
multidisciplinary? So Paul even brought up, he came to classes, my classes, uh, yesterday and today, and he spoke about um, us being a we're doing multidisciplinary work because we're reading the text, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. We are doing research about Mercy Douglas Hospital, so that history, the literature in the book, the science of it, because I've added work with eClose Institute, which is a research institute for classrooms and teachers and students. And so I'm doing a lab with the students every Friday, even though I teach English. We talked about mathematics because of the algorithms that are needed in order to create writing partners. And then what else do we say? The technology,
You got
because
history too.
yeah,
Yeah.
the history because of
Did you
Mercy
mention
Douglas
that? Yeah.
Hospital, and interacting with all these powerhouse Black people from yesteryear that lived in the Philadelphia area and helped create and sustain the hospital from the 1800s until 1973, 76 or so. I'm not exactly sure. Um,
The stuff I've looked at said 73. And do you know one of the reasons I saw one source that said that they tore it, or it was about integration and being able to use other hospitals, but it was also because that building was not air conditioned,
ooh, wow.
which I think is interesting. And there were probably multiple reasons, but I thought that one was fun.
Yeah, that's,
Um,
and then what else? We
okay,
said mathematics because of the algorithms. And then we said engineering because they have to prompt um, the AI to do what it is they need it to do. So they're
so
just doing so much in these classrooms, in my classroom.
yeah, and I can imagine they feel overwhelmed. And as I said to them, they've had 10 years or 11 years, maybe 10 or 11 years of separated classrooms where all this stuff is in different places, right?
Mhm.
So I'm sure they feel some kind of way
That's right.
about all that, right? Yeah.
That's what they
Right.
say too. And I love having Paul in class because he picks up on some of the language nuances that they use and that I use. And they think both that I'm corny, so they think Paul is corny too.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you're
So
corny.
so here's the deal. And I am I sharing the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone see it? Diane, do you see it? Chris, do you
Yeah.
see it? Okay.
Yep.
So talk to me about. I saw that you wanted to start doing some vocabulary around the book,
Yes.
and talk to me about your goals because I just jumped in and tried to imagine what I would do if I were the teacher with
Um,
AI. Yeah.
yes. So what I wanted to have children explore, I don't want them to skip to the Lou My Darling over all the difficult terms and words in the text. And also in the research that they're finding about people in the medical field. There are all
Hmm.
these terms that they're um, having to go through, and because they're doing a lot of the reading on their own, I don't want them to miss out on opportunities to elevate their knowledge of words. One thing I was thinking about, Paul, too, because scientific terms use a lot of prefixes and suffixes, um,
Yes.
and roots of the word roots. I'm thinking about that, the aspects of that, and how words are built um, in the English language from Latin and in some other countries.
Right.
Um,
So
so
maybe
that's the
go ahead.
first thing, and just so that they and being able to say the word can come from Google because they can hear the audio of it, so they know the correct pronunciation. But they
They can
also
also, if
they hear it.
they can also play it on here
Yeah.
too, right?
And so,
But
yes,
yeah, if
so,
they can.
both of you, Chris used this before. I think this text, and so it was on Now Comment last year,
Yeah.
and we shifted it to writing partners. So, Diane, every student has their own book, and the actual book itself. They also have, you can't see it because I have a background on it. They also have access to it on Writing Partners, which is the digital form of the book where they can follow it chapter by chapter. It's nothing missing. And then they have the audio of the book as well, so that they can listen and read together. On Writing Partners, they can annotate text, and they can use the book with post-it notes to annotate. So they have
They
several,
can take those post-it notes and end up and make them into comments
and that's what I'm going to tell them
as well.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them because I think I'm going to come out with a a literary essay at the end because we move in fourth quarter. We move into the college essay
That's cool.
application essay.
So let me show you what I set up here, and I want to see if you kind of agree with it. And we'll say hello to Grace as we're doing this, but she'll catch up. Hi, Grace.
Hey, Grace.
Hi, Grace.
She'll
Get
jump
there.
in. Mhm.
Okay, so here's what I copied something from we already had a breaking it down
Yep.
mentor.
Simulator. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's based on the reading apprenticeship stuff from Wested, and that's cited here. But I turned it into a specific vocabulary thing. And so what it does is it does a think aloud, right? So here's the question. How can we use AI to not just give kids the words that they need to learn and the definitions, right?
Right.
Which probably is not terribly effective in my
It's
opinion,
not.
but actually shows them how to figure out the definitions of difficult words in a text, right?
Mhm.
So I found this list of questions, and again, just give credit from Odell Education. It's an open resource that I've given credit to there, and it has a list of questions. Does the author use any metaphors? Does the author use any contrasting language? Right? Does it use any words to give examples? So kinds of things a really good reader does. Here's your prefixes and suffixes to give you, right? And
Mhm.
so what I tell the AI to do is ask yourself these questions with the text and then answer them with the text that I've given you, and then do a think aloud about how you're making sense of this. Does that all make some
Mhm.
sense of
Yeah.
how that works? And then if I can click to the example, I might be able to. Here it is. So let's read through this example. So can we get a couple of readers so it's not me talking?
Sure.
How about Chris? Would you read all cancers? Read paragraph 123.
All cancers originate from a single cell gone wrong and are categorized based on the type of cell they start from. Most cervical cancers are carcinomas, which grow from epithelial cells that cover the cervix and protect its surface. By chance, when Henrietta showed up at Hopkins complaining of abnormal bleeding, Jones and his boss, Richard Wesley Tillind, were involved in a heated nationwide debate over what qualified as cervical cancer and how best to treat it.
Okay. Bonnee, would you be the vocabulary tutor? It's a little.
Okay.
Please start.
Where am
on the right side there, paragraph 123.
Okay, on the right side. Okay.
So I asked, can you help me understand this
Can you
paragraph?
help me?
Go ahead.
Mhm. And I'm the vocabulary tutor. And I say, sure, let's work through this paragraph together using a think aloud approach to better understand its vocabulary and meaning. We'll break it down into smaller chunks and focus on key vocabulary words. First, let's look at the sentence. All cancers originate from a single cell gone wrong and are categorized based on the type of cell they start from. The word originate might be unfamiliar to some of us. If we think about its roots, origin, it means the beginning or starting point. So originate means to begin or start from a particular point. The phrase a single cell going, and this is good. This is good, Paul. It's a lot though.
Mhm.
And
I know it's a lot.
I was going to say that the students are getting used to reading a lot by what they're doing. They're reading the text. They're reading they're reading a lot. They're reading the ancestors' bios. They're making choices. So here, this is why I love writing partners and working with it, because students really have to do more work to get to what they need to do. And after they become accustomed to it, they stop fighting it. They stop fighting that they're doing more work because it's just elevating them. I'm telling them, you're going to be greater because of this. So cervical.
Go through the next one. Yeah. What they do with cervical here, I think, is interesting.
Okay, let's take a moment. Where cervical refers to the cervix, which is part of the female reproductive system, which students need because they no longer have friggin' health classes and they don't even know the friggin' parts of their bodies. And when you say something like this, the boys start laughing, the girls are like, why
wait till we make the Dr. Bonnee version of this.
Ooh, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Carcinomas are a type of cancer. The sentence provides a definition by explaining that they grow from epithelial cells. Epithelial cells are mentioned as those that cover the cervix and protects its surface, giving us a clear idea of their function. They act as a protective layer. Now let's focus on the last part. By chance, when Henrietta showed up at Hopkins complaining of abnormal bleeding, Jones and his boss, Richard Wesley Tillind, were involved in a heated nationwide debate over what qualified as cervical cancer and how best to treat it. The phrase by chance. So it broke down the whole paragraph, huh?
Yeah. So like you said, it is a lot. I think depending on how much you like, some readers might need all of this and others may not, right? So they need to make that judgment themselves. But then what I had it do is make a list.
Summarized. Yes.
And I thought they could use this list. Then they could actually go to a physical notebook even.
Yep. And I asked them to buy a little journal. I said, I know it's late in the year and I'm asking you to buy a different notebook or something. I said, but I think you need like a little journal to keep up and not the spiral notebook because it's too big. You have the book, you have the laptop, and then you have a big notebook. So I said, you might, but no one has bought one yet. So I told them to fold a sheet of paper and put it next to you.
Yeah. Well, and if they have Post-its, they can play with that too, right? However they can manage it. But it'll be here for them then. So you're getting thumbs up on this
I
so
like
far,
it. And I shared a slideshow with you with some other vocabulary things. So I know you can dance with that as well.
Okay. So
I know Diane is really here to hear how we're conjuring ancestor mentors. So I want to show off
we can
that.
jump to that. Yes.
Yes.
All right. How do you want to start that?
I mean,
We'll start on slide 6.
Yeah, but you should show Diane the QFTs, how I started the students and how they got to questioning, because 20 questions are a lot. And how were students able to do that? So I had just learned a strategy called QFT. What is it called, Paul? Questioning for something. I forget what the strategy is called, but it's from the Right Institute. What is it? The Right
Institute. Yep.
The Right Institute.
The Right Question Institute, right?
The Right Question Institute.
Is it questioning for thinking?
Yeah, .org or something. See, Chris,
It is the Right
I like
Institute.
you all the way over there in Utah, because I'm telling you, we're on the same wavelength.
It's not.
No, we're not doing quantum field theory, not at all.
Question formulation technique.
Yes, question formulation technique.
With a lot of vocabulary here. Okay,
and,
so you did that.
What I had students focus on in their groups, because of the science that we're doing, I needed groups of 4. And then I just try to make groups when I do reading anymore, because then the strong help the weak and those in the middle. You know, everybody is helping one another. So I really like groups. So they had to sit together and create questions and put it on the charted Post-it note paper. And I told them they at least needed 20 questions then. They had to, their focus, and I did 3 focus, Chris, not 1. The focus was Johns Hopkins Hospital, which is found in the Henrietta Lacks books, the Mercy Douglas Hospital, because I have motives of doing the research about that and creating curriculum about Mercy Douglas Hospital. And then the third focus was Henrietta Lacks. So they could create questions about each one of those focus areas as a group. And nobody's question was wrong. So they all wrote these questions down on chart paper. Then they determined what were open questions and what were closed questions. You don't have to answer the questions at all. You just list them. And then we can go to the next one, open and close. So they marked all their questions. So now in my hallway outside my room, I have a question gallery. And that students were able to go out, instead of writing things down. This is how I use cell phones in the classroom. Go out and just take your phone outside and take pictures of the questions that you like. And then you were able to come back in, and you can go to the next slide. Oh, they did the star. They did all of that stuff. No, the slide.
Yeah, I know. Barrett's here.
Yeah, hey, Barrett.
Hi.
You came right on time. I'm just starting to talk about the work.
Great.
So yeah, so they did all this questioning. They had all these questions, but prior to this, they had done a homework assignment. I think that's on slide 5, Paul. They had a homework assignment that they had to ask the adults in their household or neighbors what they knew about Mercy Douglas Hospital. Had they even heard of Mercy Douglas Hospital? So they had already had some questions that they used already for homework assignment to talk to people that they knew. Interestingly, some of the families knew about it, or some of the families thought they knew about it. But I don't think the children really did the homework. I said, you all made it up. They just turned in something to act like they did something. But however, the ones who really did something had paragraphs of information to one question that they really had a discussion with people in their households about Mercy Douglas. So then we brought it back into writing partners where they had to create their own individual 20 questions. And the three focus areas were still the same: John Hopkins Hospital, Mercy Douglas Hospital, Henrietta Lacks. But the students who are doing the science work, science study, and lab work, they had a fourth one, ECLOS Institute, because they're working with diet and development, human development and diet. So I'm just trying to tie everything together. Okay, next slide,
Yeah.
Paul. So you want to start explaining now? I can be quiet.
No, you can jump in whenever you'd like.
Okay, so we still have 20 questions, and how we broke it down was self and then world. So I had
Yeah,
to
I mean, I can say, let's just
go ahead.
relate
You
back
want to
to
hear how I
Chris.
broke it down?
Chris and I mean, however we got started, like we've done 10 self 10 world questions forever.
Really?
That you're yeah, but you're relating it to your focus points and all of that. That's all great. And then but we still needed some document that identifies who they are and what they really care about, right? So
Yes. So, and that's what those were the 10 self questions. And I told them about the world. How do their thoughts, how do what they want connect to not just themselves, but to their community, to their city, to their state, and to the, to the country, to other countries, and then the world. So that's how I said, and they said, well, how does that? I said, well, how does the human body and how does medicine and how does healthcare connect to you in a bigger, in a bigger way? Because that's what, this is talking about. So, they're kind of upset with me because I'm doing more than literature, but it's nothing they can do about it. So they just have to go with me.
so here's the deal. In our planning back and forth and so forth, it wasn't an easy idea to how are we going to get from this list of questions to the history, right?
Mhm.
And so it's okay if I jump in with that.
Absolutely.
So
This is where you are. Yeah. 7. We're
so
on 7.
so
Oh,
so what the students do is they hit this AI button. They then say, okay, here are my questions. So their questions are here on the left side. Then they ask the Mercy Douglas Hospital History Mentor, which we created, right? From, and I'll bring up this
from all the
document.
research and reading that we've been doing. And
Well,
listen, Paul reads just as much as I do. And Barrett is doing some stuff too. And then when Barrett sends me things, then I'm telling Paul. And you all need to well, even just Diane, Paul and I text each other all the time. And he stopped emailing me because I really don't go on email as much, but I'm really hitting on text messages.
so and I'll say I use Perplexity and just to be clear about it. And I think our list could be better because next time we'll make a better list. But we have a list of 100 people involved with the hospital at different times, right?
Not so fast, Paul, so they can read.
Sorry, yeah. But
Mhm.
go ahead. And there is actually a link to each, like if you want to find out more about Nathan Mosul, you could here. But then the question became, how do we interface between the 100 people here? So they're not all people, sometimes they're whole families, right?
Or associations.
And they're really interesting people. So our goal is to have the students create a mentor from one of these people, right? And so what we ask them to do is we set up this writing partner. that compares their list of 20 questions with our list of 100 people and says, hey, these three seem to be
The best for you.
some you're interested in, right?
Mhm.
And some,
Is that
yeah, go ahead.
just based on the sentence or two description there, or is AI going and reading,
Yes,
searching more about them?
it's just based on the sentence or two description.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I will say that I think that the more detail that we had, so if we had more detail in each of those and we had a more careful list, we're getting like the top three a lot.
A lot, which is
So-
my mother's OBGYN, and the two men who were part of the merger of the Frederick Douglass Hospital and the Mercy Hospital. Those three are coming up a lot. Somebody got a nurse today, though, too.
Yeah. So we were hoping that we'd get more. And so,
Mhm.
we have to think about that part of this process a little
Right.
bit. But just to go on with the process, here I did it with an old student's 10 self 10 world questions. And it came up with these. Oh, sorry, hopping fast. It came up with these three you
Mhm.
mentioned. And notice it grabs two of the questions and says, hey, this Mossel, he seems to have
Allison.
Moselle, he seems to be about these two questions you're asking. Dickens seems
Now
to be
you
about
can,
these two questions.
Paul, let me interrupt. Diane, you
Please.
could press the plus sign above all of our images.
I can read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. At some point, and this is like getting, I kept saying this in your classes, getting everybody, even the kid over in the corner who's listening to his music, getting everybody up to step 3 felt like an important moment to
Mhm.
say, okay, I want to learn about Dr. Wilbur Strickland, and I
Mhm.
want to make him my mentor, right? They do that in a reply, then they use the then they use the background knowledge teammate, and the
Mhm.
background knowledge teammate gives them some basic, not so basic, gives them more information.
Mm.
You can see it here. You can't really see it, but you can see that it kind of gives them 3 main points and how they could do more research. And then we quickly say, okay, go do some research.
Yeah.
This is my guy that I did
Mhm.
research on, and we show them that, I found this in memoriam on this weird PDF from his, I think it was from his sorority, not sorority, his, I don't know, it was from his
Fraternity.
college.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so, but it gave a lot of detailed, in 3 paragraphs, a lot of detailed information.
And
Going
so
through the
the thing
process,
is,
we can
let's
stop.
talk
Yeah.
about and then
Sure.
taking them into perplexity. The school district bought Google Gemini for everybody. Well, we can't friggin' use it. We don't know what the heck is going on. We can't tap it. But I think we have to use our school district emails or whatever to tap into it. So we go to perplexity because it keeps the students off Google, and then they have not only the information about the person, but also the sites or the sources are cited in perplexity. So that helps them, even learn. If you're going to use AI, you need to be able to cite some of these sources. Where is this information coming from? So we're teaching them that as well.
Um,
So this
we're
man,
kind of getting through the process really fast here, but go ahead.
yeah, it is. Dr. Strickland was one of the men who started the Mercy Douglass Hospital as a part of the merger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he was there at the end too when it.
Yes. And
Yeah.
now Paul noticed how well dressed he was. And so
I don't know
even
why.
just talking about playing with vocabulary, I told him in Philadelphia, we say he was a sharp dresser. He was sharp. And then I'd say he was sharp as a tack because the students don't even have any recognition to colloquialisms as such. And these were typical colloquialisms of that day.
But I think what's wonderful about this is that it's a really quick and dirty research project, but they're bringing to life a historical character, right? And they have a context of this institution and what's going on with it.
They said one class said today, "Oh, we're doing witchcraft. we're bringing dead people to life."
Yeah, conjuring, absolutely.
Yeah, conjurers. I use that word.
Just to go quickly, and then we can look at a couple of examples.
Okay.
So I'm moving through quickly
Yeah.
what the students have to do, and I think there are enough who get it, and then they can show each other. They find three things about the person. They paste them into a document. It's a bit of a process.
Yeah, into a writing partner's document.
It ends up being 5 more steps, and they have a writing partner. That is. So what happens is the template that we give them, all they have to do is put the name in, and it writes some of the paragraphs for them about that person. But then when they put their research into it, what happens is when they go to it now, that writing partner will talk as if it is that person. It's created a simulator for them, and they could use it while they're reading. I think we have to think about how they could use it.
Yeah.
They could do a journal entry. Here's what I'm thinking about right now, and the person could talk back to them.
When they do
Lots of questions. I'm going to go look. I think I know what I can find it. Here we go. Let me just bring up a couple of the students' results here.
Well, anyway, I have to say that the students are very excited when they get the 3, because what's even more exciting for young people is they get to make their own choices. You get 3, choose one. Choose the one you want. I'm not telling you which one to choose, nor is Paul, because Paul is very active in my classroom. So they're able to choose, and they're like, "Oh," and then they're saying, "I found this. Well, I found this. Well, is this right?" And I said, "Did you?" And all I'll say is, "Did you follow the steps on the slides?" And because there's so many steps on these slides, I provided them the entire slideshow. And I don't typically do that because, people just run into the wind with your work. But it was just so many steps that they had to do that it would have been too difficult to teach it step by step, knowing that students are at work at different paces. So it provides that opportunity for young people as well.
So the very last step, and we went through a lot fast there, but that's okay. It gets technical, and we talked to them about how the technical is kind of necessary, and that's part of the prompt engineering, doing the technology part. But then we get to do the fun part. So Angelina's, would you mind reading it?
Okay, before I say that, we didn't even talk about for each one of the 20 questions. Paul initially told me, well, they need 5 keywords and main ideas next to every question. I said, well, that's 100 words, Paul. So we say 3 to 5 words next to every question. And one class, they're doing 5 because they're a top-notch class. I told them I won't accept less than 5 words. And they're really doing a great job. I don't know if you saw Jaleesa's, Paul. I mean, that child really knocked the keywords and main ideas out of the box.
That's cool. I didn't see it.
Yeah, but Jaleesa, check hers. You want me to read Ethan?
Doesn't matter. I just picked Angelina's. Yeah.
Okay,
so she ended up with
the history of Mercy
guy.
Douglas. And Moselle, Dr. Moselle told her a lot about Mercy Douglas. When the school was founded, when the hospital was founded, where they went to school. And, I could tell when they started finding out about nurses being trained. And they were like, what does University of Penn have to do with everything? Because a lot of the nurses for the hospital Mercy Douglas Hospital, which was an all-Black hospital, were trained at University of Penn. So, she found basic information about the
I don't,
hospital because,
I don't
I
know if
mean,
it's so basic. Read through it. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, the hospital functioned as a critical healthcare provider and educational institution before closing in 1973. During its time, it played a pivotal role in training a considerable number of African American nurses. Oh, yeah, through its school nursing. See, I jumped right to that point, impacting the landscape of healthcare by increasing the number of qualified African American medical professionals. The legacy of Mercy Douglas Hospital is one of commitment to equality and education within the healthcare system, providing opportunities for marginalized communities. And I'd love to share more, da 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 da. But let me hear what it said for Ethan. Tell me more about yourself.
By the way, I heard what you. I think that last paragraph, and they may do
Right.
skip over it too.
They
It's kind
do.
of cool that it does it.
Yeah.
But but okay. Yeah, we can go to Ethan's.
But see, at the bottom of this entry that AI has given back to Angelina, it gives her the link where this information can be found. She can click right onto the link. Some of the things are in UPenn's library that has public access. Some other things do not. So we talked about that today too. Kai, she's another one. What did she ask? Oh, wait a minute. Is there anything you can tell me about Mercy Douglas Hospital, Henrietta Lacks, and your role or potential role in both these situations? And my doctor, Dr. Dickens, she chose her, played a significant role in advancing healthcare for women and minorities, particularly in Philadelphia. While the text does not explicitly mention Mercy Douglas Hospital, her contributions align with the broader mission of supporting African American communities in healthcare access and education. Mercy Douglas Hospital, which served Philadelphia's African American population, was part of this movement to provide quality health care in racially segregated settings.
Okay,
As
I gotta say, wait till you get to this next paragraph. Go ahead.
okay,
The
as for
connections here.
Henrietta Lacks, Dr. Dickens' work in promoting pap smears and cervical cancer detection closely aligns with the story of Lacks, whose own cervical cancer cells became pivotal in medical research. Although Dickens did not directly work with Lacks, her efforts in promoting cervical cancer awareness and prevention undoubtedly contributed to the broader understanding and advancement of women's health, particularly in underserved communities. Dr. Dickens' work is a testament in her commitment to overcoming medical distrust in the Black community and improving healthcare accessibility, as evidenced by her mobile pap smear clinics and programs to train other doctors. Her initiatives, like those at Mercy Douglas Hospital, aim to empower minority communities through better healthcare and education. Thus, the reason why I wanted to do Mercy Douglas Hospital. Children and adults alike in Philadelphia have no idea the contributions of the people, the professionals that were at Mercy Douglas Hospital from the late 1800s up to 1973.
And by the way, this is a little bit geeky of me, but that this became third person talking about, instead of, you'll notice the next one is Mercy Douglas Hospital. I have fond memories of it. Right. That's where our goal. So I'm going to go back and look at that prompt and see why it lost the voice in that
voice. But when you think about Kai's question, her question,
yeah, it may be the question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We should
And
stop.
do you think that's all accurate? Would you say? I mean, does that seem
it is
right?
Yeah, because the information that we fed it with, Chris, like I did a lot of research on these people prior to building each persona. So really, they are interacting with the real backgrounds of every named person that we have listed, every association that we have listed.
So, Chris, on some level, everything AI does is made up, right?
Yeah, but
So
like that.
I get your question, but it's getting the information from that research, the 3 pieces of research that the kids did, right?
On perplexity.
Yes.
But also from us too, because it's already fed into the persona itself. So it's all of that. And this is why we were talking, it's all of that, I think, because that's the information that's coming up. Because I know what's real in this. Um, the importance of question, the buildup of questions without answers, and also the key words. It's like AI is reading all these key words and all these questions, as well as the persona of the 3 people that were initially chosen for each student, and then the students' input based on perplexity that we know is already out there because that
So
information is sourced.
just to say, I think Chris's question is a good one to
Yeah.
have the kids keep in mind, that it's probably accurate because of the stuff you put in there. But if you put stuff in there that's not accurate, then it won't be. Right?
Right.
This is true.
Could I offer
But-
a suggestion
yeah.
for the assignment? I think I really love what you do with the world and the personal questions, but what if you also had the students ask a question in the sense of an interview, like they're interviewing the bots personally?
Yeah, they could absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, we could.
they actually. Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
And the bots
Because
could
some of the
actually talk to
information
each
that they
other.
use are interviews. Some of the information that they are using do come from interviews, Grace. Thank you.
Where are you, Grace? You're here.
She's
I don't
underneath
see you.
Barrett. Barrett, move to the
Oh,
side.
Barrett,
Use your
okay,
arrow.
yeah.
Barrett might be gone.
Oh.
Or Grace, use your
Mhm.
arrow. Go up or down or left or right. There you
Okay.
are.
There you go. Cool. It's been a while, Grace. But thanks you for coming back around again. Appreciate
Oh
it.
yeah, it's great. I love these meetings. I really wish that my district would implement AI the way that yours does, so we could use it.
We are working on that. I have a meeting with your teacher and the assistant superintendent of your school next week. So we're working on it,
Okay.
Grace.
Got you.
Yeah,
That's good
cool.
to hear.
Trying to make it happen. They're all very positive about it. Just to say, it's just some of the bureaucratic working through stuff that we have to do yet.
So before we go, Barrett and Diane, do you all have any questions? Do you all have any thoughts of what should come? Now, we haven't even done the actual interviews of people who are still living yet, which that's going to come next. And then I'll be telling Paul, okay, how can we add this in?
I'm thinking about, so Diane and I went to the conference that the American Philosophical Society in 1838 Metropolis did, and the archivist from Bethel AME was there and talking about what does it mean to build the archive. And I'm wondering, what is it that we are preserving from these conversations? What is it that we are saving to share with others from these conversations with the simulators? That's what I'm wondering. And how do we capture that? Is it audio? Is it audio? Is it it's just a great question that I'm thinking, how do we share and preserve and share this work with writing partners?
I think what you just said is a great question, and we don't have an answer. One thing that comes to mind quickly is it would be nice to have a gallery of these, and other people could tap into them too. Like, oh, let me go find out what this nurse had to say about this situation.
And I even said to Paul, I want the stuff to talk. I need it to talk. I want a voice. I want the image popping up. So, and he was like, yeah, okay, well, let's get this done first.
Yeah, I think because I'm imagining a space where we can have an exhibit of sorts. So if the community could also interact in some way, that'd be awesome as well.
And guess where I see it, Barrett? On that doggone land that's vacant. Shoot. The land where the hospital was is vacant.
Is there a marker there? Is there
Heck
historical?
to the no. We could work toward, that's what I'm saying. Oh gosh. But
That's a great idea.
Yeah, Paul said I do too much. I do too much.
There is a Mercy Hospital marker.
No,
I
it's
found
the
one.
Frederick Douglass Hospital historic mark.
I'll show it to you. I found it. Yeah.
No, but I go by there, Paul. There's none.
Okay. It may not be there. I think it's in the old place.
I'll find the original.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But we could, we could build that up somehow.
Diane, did you have a question?
No.
What's on your mind? What's your thought?
I was just thinking that, we've been interacting of late with the Bushfire Theater Company on the 52nd Street corridor.
Yeah.
So if you were able to, I don't know, have some simulation, or even the kids in your class, I was just thinking, assuming the persona of some of those people that you've named based on the background information that they got about that person, then they could talk about what the Mercy Douglass Hospital meant to the community using the thoughts of those people that you identified. And we could either capture that in video in some way, or I don't know if they write scripts and then the AI.
They do all of that. They do all of that. And they do.
We could show it at Bushfire. That's the place.
I think that's really dope.
West Philadelphia could come and see some of the things that we have created, or share it more broadly, because that's the space for doing that.
There was this folks that shared at the conference we went to, and they shared a professor from Villanova does work called Last Scene, where she curated ads from enslaved people trying to find their families. And she used this style that Diane is talking about, and people were voicing over and kind of acting out the scenes and ads that were placed of the families trying to find their families that were lost. So people can actually listen to these historical moments, and maybe that's something similar that they can do with the simulators from the knowledge they gain.
That sounds great. I mean, one of the ways we've thought about this is, and we say to the students, is it's almost like taking an improv actor and saying, hey, you are this character, right? And here's all the things you are, right? And that's what's in the prompt. But we haven't thought through, and you're helping us think through what to do with these yet.
Yeah.
And so these are great ideas.
Yeah, I think Barrett, what you were thinking reminded me of, like, if there's an empty lot where this building was, like a student produced public art installation would be pretty awesome there.
Grace, I think I talked when you were going to try to talk. Did you want to say something again?
Oh, no, it's okay. I think what you could also do is you could try and have the students write an interview with the bots, where they're talking to the bots as if they're people, because I feel like it's so important to be able to gain information, but then consolidate that into something with a structure and plot and theme.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That does too.
Yeah. And I don't know if it gets too complicated, but it is possible to start the dialogue, right, with one of the simulators, and then bring a third one in at another point to complicate the matter.
Right. Which I always do anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
You didn't know that, Grace?
Yeah, you could have the bots talk with each other.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. They could talk to each other.
That's interesting. So cool. Yeah.
All right. So Grace, you'll have to make a bot yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I'll try and get them
And
to
you
talk
can
to
use
each
that
other.
slideshow. The slideshow will help you do it. And you don't have to, you can make a Mercy
Well,
Douglas bot, but the slideshow will help you walk
Oh
through
yeah,
it step
where
by
can
step.
I find the slideshow?
Click on the
it's
hospital
right
image.
there on the
Barrett,
table.
can you use your arrow and move left or right in a chair real quick?
So there is that, but I was going to suggest, Grace, is there a famous person in history that you would want to be your mentor in your life?
Mm.
So you don't have to go to the hospital one necessarily. You could think of somebody else who you want to conjure back and ask to be your mentor, right? So think about that for a little bit.
So what do we call it? Oh, Paul heard me saying today, because I said I called the assignment your AI book bestie. And like your literary slayer. One of my words was your wordsmith warrior. Is your, and then I was saying, and then they were like, what do you mean? I said, like your rider, like you had somebody that's riding with you through thick and thin, through all this work that we're about to do. You
And you
want
had
to
to
have
spell
somebody
Rida
with,
for me.
and then I had to tell you it was Rider, Rider. So then Paul added, yeah, your ancestral rider. Your ancestral rider. I was like, wow.
Yes, I really love the personal connection. Anyway, hi Grace, you're back.
Yeah,
Or she-
it glitched out and went blank for a little bit, so
Okay.
just rejoined.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
asking you if you have a famous person in the history that you look up to. I'm
It's a really
putting you
good
on the spot.
question. I feel like there's so many. I don't know.
Okay.
I would love to learn from all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris
Yeah,
is
okay.
going.
So Chris is going in and out, and we should kind of finish up here probably. But just to say, Chris is doing. We mentioned this last week.
Mhm.
Chris is doing amazing inquiry work with his students around different questions and around the UN sustainability goals. But his research is around farming, and so Barry, what's his name? The name just lost me, and he lost me.
But
Barry
you
is the
should
last
tell him
name.
about the
Russell
farm
Barry.
was in
Yeah.
Chris's family since the 1800s. And,
So we
go ahead.
so we have him. He has a mentor also who's giving him advice as he's doing his research. So this notion is an interesting one, I think. And what I think is interesting is the personal connection. And the more we can give kids opportunities to talk to their, you want to call them a bot, we can talk to their simulator, I think the better, right? That'll be, and then we have ideas of how they could make these dramas or whatever, but they may have ideas how they could use these things too. Which is worth exploring. So we're just starting.
Yeah, this is just the start. And when is my thing due? Lord have mercy.
We're going to be meeting March 29th.
Oh, I know that. And what am I'm supposed to have the whole thing done like this is what it's doing and this is what we're doing?
May. So
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get to check in and share
March is the check-in time. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
y'all.
okay.
Cool.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yes. I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to share because there's a lot going
Amazing
on.
work.
There's a lot going on.
And I'll
Lots of
hit you up
details.
about the information that the library gives me.
Please. Oh yeah. About those interviews, what are they, videos?
Cassette tapes. I need to go up there and see.
What?
So I'll be in touch.
Yay! All right.
So one of the things that we gets lost, but did mention to the students is that as they get more and detailed and nuanced information about these people, they can go in and change their simulator and add that information in, right? So that their simulator can grow over time as well.
Mhm.
But so yeah, actual voice would be amazing. All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks
All
for
All
right.
right, y'all.
All
Good night.
right. Thanks
Breeze,
for
we'll talk to
stopping
you
in.
soon.
No problem. Good night.
Night
Good night.
night.